Hi everyone, this is Dr. Anamta Rizvi, your faculty, your mentor, your guide for UPSC Mains English Literature, the optional subject. So today, this is my first lecture and today I will be talking about the most important segment in your syllabus for all those who are opting for English Literature as an optional subject. And what is it? The socio-political, the cultural, the historical background from 1600 to 1800. ओके यहाँ तक मैंने रेनेसां से लेकर एलिजाबेथन पीरियड से लेकर विक्टोरियन पीरियड तक की बात की है. इट्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट लेसन. व्हाई? बिकॉज दिस इज द फाउंडेशन. ये बेस है आपका. वंस यू हैव अ गुड होलिस्टिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि किस तरह से एंटायर इसका एरा हुआ था, कैसे बिगनिंग हुई थी, हाउ थिंग्स चेंज इन द पॉलिटिकल वर्ल्ड, इन द सोशल वर्ल्ड, you will easily be able to relate the texts that were being written during that time. चाहे वो शेक्सपियर हो, चाहे वो मिल्टन हो, चाहे वो अलेक्जेंडर पोप हो, चाहे वो टी.एस. इलियट हो, and so on. Okay, so दो आपके कोर्स में 1600 to present age है, 1900 and so on है, but we will be going ahead with the modern age, that is from the 20th century to the 21st century in my next lecture. But today, primarily, we will be talking about Renaissance, and then comes the Restoration age, the Augustan age, the Romantic age, and then the Victorian age. All right, so a very seminal, a significant lesson. If you want your registers, your notes, your notepads and anything, most welcome, because today is going to be an interesting one. Before we go ahead with this lecture, let me tell you something about myself. I am Dr. Anamta Rizvi. I did my PhD from the Department of English, Jamia Millia Islamia. I have taught in many universities as well as colleges as well as EdTech platforms. I have mentored a lot of students for the NET GRF exam. I qualified GRF myself, and I have mentored a lot of students for UPSC Mains English Literature exam as well. Okay, I have recently authored a book with Eshan Publication House that pertains to English literature. I have around 30-40 articles published with the Times of India, and my recent article will be published with Macmillan, and so on. Okay, so enough about myself. Let's go ahead with the lecture for the day. Before starting with the lecture, मैंने बहुत पिक्चर्स इंक्लूड किए फॉर अ बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग. अपने दिमाग को एक क्लीन स्लेट बनाओ एंड एक स्केच बनेगा. आपके दिमाग में एक स्केच बनेगा. यू हैव टू ट्रेन योर माइंड व्हेन यू आर टेकिंग माय लेसन्स, बिकॉज हम लोग एक पिक्चर वाले ओरिएंटेड लेसन से पढ़ेंगे. माय मेन आइडिया इज दैट आई नो दैट ये लर्न तो हो जाएगा, लेकिन इसको समझना कैसे है. तो हम लोग इसका मेन आइडिया है कि हमें समझना कैसे है लेसन को. ठीक है, सो यू जस्ट हैव टू मेक अ ड्राइंग इन योर हेड. इमेजिन full use of your imagination when you are attending my literature classes, especially this one. So you just have to create images in your head. Help images only. Go ahead with that. Okay, chalo, let's go ahead with our lesson. So when we talk about this, just a second guys, give me 1 minute. So so let's go ahead with this. Renaissance age approximately 14th to 17th century. सबसे पहले एक दिमाग में एक एज बनाओ. 14th सेंचुरी, बहुत पुरानी हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं. दुनिया ऐसे डेवलप नहीं है, बहुत ही अलग तरीके की दुनिया है. ना सोशल मीडिया है, ना कार्ड्स है, ना नथिंग. सो इमेजिन अ यूरोप ऑफ द 14th सेंचुरी जहाँ पे इंटेलेक्चुअली चार्ज ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं है. हाउएवर रेनेसा आया. सो रेनेसा आया था यूरोप में. इंग्लैंड की बात नहीं हो रही इटली की बात. सो द रेनेसा was a cultural and intellectual movement that started in Europe, especially in Italy. क्यों आया, कैसे आया इटली में, अभी हम लोग पढ़ेंगे. लेकिन इमेजिन इटली को आप इमेजिन करिए, वहाँ पे रेनेसा आ रहा है. रेनेसा मतलब रिफॉर्मेशन आ रहा है. इंटेलेक्चुअली लोग चार्ज हो रहे हैं, कल्चरली लोग चार्ज हो रहे हैं. सबको समझ में आ रहा है कि अच्छा, आर्ट एक ऐसी चीज़ है जो ह्यूमंस को जीने का यू कैन से एक इंस्पिरेशन करती हैं, उनको इंस्पायर करती हैं. सो एंड स्प्रेड अक्रॉस द कॉन्टिनेंट. उस टाइम पे साइंस इतना नहीं था, वी नो दैट. इट वॉज ओनली आर्ट्स, पेंटिंग, रीडिंग, राइटिंग, लर्निंग, कल्चरल थिंग्स दैट वर द इम्पेटस to live a good pleasurable life. Okay, so time frame क्या है? Late 14th century to the 17th century, approximately 1300. Can you see? Can you look at this? It's painting, it's writing, it's reading, everything that is. So एक नया दौर शुरू हो रहा था इटली में. That was the Renaissance that was coming. How and why it emerged, we'll talk about it. Okay, so what does this term mean? जैसे मैंने बोला, the word Renaissance means rebirth. एक नया जन्म हो रहा है. पूरे के पूरे यूरोप का, इन अ वे स्पेशली इटली का, जहाँ पे लोगों को एक एनलाइटमेंट मिल रहा है कि अच्छा अब हमको इस तरीके से जीना है. ओके, so and refers to the revival of classical art, literature and learning. Learning can be in the form of painting, dancing, singing, theater, reading, writing, in any which way. Now this was one of the most important aspect of the Renaissance age. Now इटली में आ रहा है ये. इटली में कैसे आया, क्यों आया, लेट अस लुक एट दैट. तो सबसे पहले की फीचर्स ऑन ह्यूमैनिज्म क्या है हमारा, कि वैल्यूइंग ह्यूमन पोटेंशियल. नाउ दिस क्यों आया, सबसे पहले रेनेसा आया क्योंकि ह्यूमन बीइंग पे फोकस करना था, कि ह्यूमन बीइंग की जिंदगी अच्छी होनी चाहिए, सुधरी होनी चाहिए, हैप्पीनेस की तरफ एम करना है. अपने आर्ट में एक मीनिंग दिख रही थी कि आई एम हियर बिकॉज आई हैव टू ऐड मीनिंग टू लाइफ एंड दिस आर्ट विल ऐड मीनिंग टू लाइफ. सो ह्यूमन पोटेंशियल एंड अचीवमेंट्स, रीडिस्कवरी ऑफ एंशिएंट ग्रीक एंड रोमन कल्चर. एक रीडिस्कवरी हुई थी कि because ancient and Roman Greek culture are years 1000 years back. So 14th century में उनका रिवाइवल हुआ, लोगों को लगा wow what a wonderful culture, वो लोग ऐसे जी रहे थे, हम लोगों को भी इसी तरह के जीना चाहिए. ओके, एडवांसमेंट इन साइंस एंड लिटरेचर एंड एक्सप्लोरेशन नाउ बिगैन, कि एक्सप्लोर करो, डिस्कवर करो, दुनिया इतनी बड़ी है, इतनी वास्ट है, वी नीड टू सी हाउ इज द वर्ल्ड, whether the world is round, whether the world is flat. All those theories came during that time. That was the period of Renaissance. Famous figures include Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo and William Shakespeare. We know these were the figures that have actually they were the legendary figures of the Renaissance period. Okay, impact marked the transition from the medieval period to modern times. Okay, this was a time जहाँ पे medieval period जो था ना, जहाँ पे you can uncivilized लोग जो थे, uncouth थे, crass थे, they did not know what art is, what painting is, what sculpting is, what theater is, what drama is. This was moving towards something that was more reformed, much more cultured, much more civilized. This was Renaissance happened in Italy. Now we'll see that how and why it happened. Just a second, guys. Sorry. Yeah. So how and when did Renaissance come to Italy? We'll quickly look at these points. ये आपके कोर्स में नहीं है, लेकिन मैं आपको ये बता रही हूँ कि इटली में आया, Renaissance क्यों आया. अब जो मैं बात करूंगी इसके बाद, that is from where your course begins. Okay, but a background was important. So when we talk about time frame, yes, 1300 to 1500, ये इटली की बात हो रही है. Wealthy city-states, prosperous trade centers like Florence, Venice, and Rome provided economic stability and patronage for art and culture. Now, this was a very, very important aspect. Art and culture पे बहुत ज़्यादा focus होता था. किन cities में? Florence में, Venice में, Rome में. Rediscovery of classics. Italian scholars like Petrarch studied ancient Greek and Roman texts, sparkling interest in classical learning. जो Petrarch था इटली में, एक Petrarch बहुत मशहूर writer था, उसका बहुत ही इंटेलेक्चुअल लर्निंग की तरफ इंक्लिनेशन था. उसने जब ये टेक्स्ट पढ़ना शुरू, ग्रीक के, रोमन के, ही वाज इन्फ्लुएंस्ड, लाइक हम लोगों को भी ऐसे जीना है. सो ही वाज अ वेरी बिग इन्फ्लुएंस एंड ब्रिंगिंग ऑल द ग्रीक रोमन लिटरेचर टू द वर्ल्ड ऑफ नॉर्मल पीपल, कॉमन पीपल ऑफ इटली. द ब्लैक डेथ रिकवरी 1347-1351 में ब्लैक डेथ हुआ था, जहां पे पॉपुलेशन ग्रोथ एंड इकोनॉमिक रिवाइवल आफ्टर द प्लेग फ्यूल्ड कल्चरल डेवलपमेंट. Now this was a very, you can say, blotch on the European continent, the entire, the Black Death. A lot of people died during that time. After this, there was a very strong urge to revive the way you live life. And this was the reason that this played such a huge role. Then moving ahead to the next slide we have, and that is patronage by wealthy families. This was also one कि बहुत wealthy families थी, वो patronage देने लगी थी, मतलब पैसा देने लगी थी कि हम, आप लिखिए, आप राइटिंग करिए, आप पेंटिंग करिए, आप स्कल्पटिंग करिए, हम लोगों को आर्ट को बढ़ावा देना है, एंड यू डू योर वर्क, यू डू द राइटिंग. दिस इंक्रीज, एंड दिस इज द रीजन आर्ट एंड लिटरेचर इंक्रीज सो मच. ओके, फॉल ऑफ कॉन्स्टेंटिनोपल 1453 में, व्हेन कॉन्स्टेंटिनोपल हैड अ फॉल डाउन, ग्रीक स्कॉलर्स जो वहाँ पे कॉन्स्टेंटिनोपल में रहते थे, वो सब आ गए इटली में. दे ऑल फ्लू टू इटली, ब्रॉट एंशिएंट मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट इंस्पायरिंग न्यू आइडियाज. लेकिन जब वो ग्रीक स्कॉलर्स आए, अपने साथ बहुत नॉलेज लेके आए, एंशिएंट स्क्रिप्ट्स लेके आए, एंड दिस वाज द मेन एम्पेटस, जहाँ पे इटली को पता चला कि इतना सब है, इतना rich culture भी exist करता था, we need to reform ourselves, we need to bring in Renaissance, okay? So surrounded by Roman heritage, the presence of Roman ruins, artifacts were there, printing press. Now this was a very, very important development. Printing press, as we know, one of the biggest inventions of mankind, the biggest technology that we rely on still. जब printing press आई 1415 में, तो there was another, it played a catalyst. It played a very huge catalyst in reading, in writing. क्योंकि printing press आई, पहले तो manuscript हाथ से लिखी जाती थी, only select few had those manuscripts, but because of this machine, thousands of copies were being able to publish, people started developing the idea of writing, preserving the text. Okay, so this was a huge impetus. अब हम लोग सब इटली के बारे में बात करें, इंग्लैंड में क्या हुआ था, we'll talk about it. So artistic innovation, artists like Bruno Lecher, Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo, all these played a very, very important and pivotal role in establishing Renaissance. I hope everybody is getting a picture in their head. You can look at this picture and get a good idea how it was like, how Italy was reviving, reforming, and अब Italy से कैसे England में जाएगा Renaissance, we'll look at that. ठीक है, okay? Moving ahead, we have how and when Renaissance came to England. Let's talk about this. Over here we see the Renaissance reached England in the late 15th century and flourished during the 16th century. 16th century में बहुत फ्लरिश किया था ये पीरियड. यहीं का पीरियड था कि यूनिवर्सिटी विट्स है, शेक्सपियर है, एंड सो मैनी ऑथर्स, एडमंड स्पेंसर है, फिलिप सिडनी, ये सब आए थे. ये सब आपके कोर्स में नहीं है. शेक्सपियर इज द वन इन योर कोर्स, एंड मेटाफिजिकल पोएट्स आएंगे, उसके बारे में हम बात करेंगे. बट जस्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट इट, दैट हाउ द रेनेसां, ऑफ कोर्स इट्स इन इटली, इंग्लैंड, वन ऑफ द मोस्ट स्टेबल कंट्रीज, वो कैसे नहीं रेनेसां से इन्फ्लुएंस होगा. जब रेनेसां आया इंग्लैंड में, तो दिस वाज अराउंड 1485 when the war of the roses ended. एक 100 साल की एक वॉर थी, वो एंड हुई. जब ये वॉर ऑफ द रोजेस एंड हुई 1485 में बिटवीन द हाउसेस ऑफ यॉर्क एंड लैंकेस्टर, जब ये वॉर खत्म हुई, एक किंगडम, एक स्टेबल किंगडम आया. वो क्या किंगडम का नाम था? एंड दैट वाज द ट्यूडर डायनेस्टी. ट्यूडर डायनेस्टी, अभी जैसे अभी जो हमारे एलिजाबेथ II है, everyone belongs to this dynasty only, Tudor dynasty, under Henry VII. Now Henry VII was a very different sort of a king, very nice, very stable, but we'll see what happened over here. Now जब 1485 में जब वॉर ऑफ द रोजेस एंड हुआ एंड ट्यूडर डायनेस्टी स्टैब्लिश हुआ, हेनरी VII आ गए. हेनरी VII वाज वेरी इंक्लाइंड टुवर्ड्स आर्ट, लिटरेचर. उन्होंने बोला कि हम लोग बहुत अच्छे से एम्ब्रेस करेंगे रेनेसां को, एंड आई वांट माय इंग्लैंड टू प्रॉस्पर एज इटली इज प्रॉस्पेरिंग. A wonderful thought. Okay, so how it spread, trade and travel exposed English scholars to Renaissance ideas from Italy. Wealthy patrons supported art and literature. उसके बाद ट्रेड एंड कॉमर्स जैसे होता था, इटली से लोग आते थे, इंग्लैंड से लोग इटली जाते थे. तब पता चला कि ये भी कोई चीज़ आई कि आर्ट एंड लिटरेचर कल्चर पे कितना रिफॉर्मेशन हो रहा है. सो जो पेट्रन्स थे इंग्लैंड में, जो रिच लोग थे, उन लोगों ने बोला दैट वी शुड हैव द सेम, एंड किंग ने भी बढ़ावा दिया, एंड दिस इज हाउ Renaissance came to England. Okay, now moving ahead with the next slide that we have, and that is key figures who introduced Renaissance. Now as we know, printing press. Now Germany में जब printing press आई थी, that was a different thing. England में कौन लाया? England में 1476 में William Caxton was the one to bring the printing press. Okay, so let us look at this. William Caxton 1476 में printing press लाए, and he introduced the printing press in England, making books more accessible. Desiderius Erasmus, Dutch scholar who worked in England spreading humanist ideas. ये सब main लोग हैं जिनकी वजह से Renaissance इतना spread हुआ. Erasmus की वजह से, William Caxton की वजह से, Thomas More की वजह से 1516 में, who wrote Utopia reflecting Renaissance humanism. So can you see over here? There is Thomas More writing Utopia here. There is William Caxton with the printing press. There is Erasmus over here with his own philosophy that, pleasure should be the one that humans should seek. So these all factors brought in great impetus, great reason to celebrate the human life in England, and this was Renaissance. ठीक है? Okay, moving ahead to the next one, and we have फ्लरिशिंग अंडर हेनरी द एट. अब हेनरी द सेवन के जो बेटे थे वो हेनरी द एट थे. उनके अलग ही विचार थे, बहुत अलग विचार थे, बहुत ही डेवलपमेंट्स हुए हैं उनके टाइम पे. हम लोग पढ़ेंगे क्या डेवलपमेंट्स थे. So the one of the first was in 1409 to 1547, your early 16th century. Henry the Eighth invited Renaissance artists and thinkers to England. Henry the Seventh अपने फादर से भी वो 10 कदम आगे थे. उन्होंने बोला कि जितने भी अच्छे आर्टिस्ट हैं आपके अक्रॉस द यूरोप, सबको इंग्लैंड बुलाओ, मुझे देखना है कि सब लोग बात क्या कर रहे हैं. ओके, सो फाउंडिंग ऑफ द रॉयल नेवी एंड द बिल्डिंग ऑफ कॉलेजेस फॉस्टर्ड इंटेलेक्चुअल डेवलपमेंट. दिस डायनामिक किंग, he needs to have a crown, right? Okay, so this dynamic king, what did he do? He was the one to bring the Royal Navy to build the fostered intellectual development within England. Italian artists and architecture influenced English culture thoroughly, and this is how that England became the place जहाँ पे Renaissance सबसे ज़्यादा flourish किया. Okay, now moving ahead to the next aspect. I hope everybody is referring to the image as well. कुछ नहीं समझ में आ रहा है, so just look at the image, think about a land where things are improving till the point that they are flourishing. Okay, next one. Now golden age of the English Renaissance. Renaissance सबसे बड़ा period, सबसे rich period. अब ये golden age Renaissance क्यों बोला जाता है? We'll figure this out. Now over here, now what happens is we can see that 1558 से लेकर 1603 हेनरी एट्थ के बाद कौन मोनार्की में आया, कौन बना उनका बच्चा, कौन उनका जो बच्ची थी, क्वीन एलिजाबेथ द फर्स्ट. शी वॉज द डॉटर ऑफ हेनरी द एट्थ और वो बनी नेक्स्ट क्वीन. ओके, सो ड्यूरिंग क्वीन एलिजाबेथ फर्स्ट का जो रेन था वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रेन था. हेनरी एट से भी ज्यादा क्वीन एलिजाबेथ द फर्स्ट वॉज इंक्लाइन टूवर्ड्स डेवलपिंग आर्ट, कल्चर, ड्रामा, everything during her reign in England. Okay, so flourishing of drama and literature, Shakespeare, Christopher Marlowe, John Lilly, Thomas Cade, Ben Jonson, ये सब बहुत flourish हुए थे during Queen Elizabeth the First. तभी इनका इतना ज़्यादा नाम है. ठीक है, in fact colonial explorations also started during this time only. Queen Elizabeth के time पे it was a time during her period जब इतना ज़्यादा rich था England. It was flourishing at that time. Now exploration of new scientific and artistic ideas and emphasis on individualism and human achievements. Look at Queen Elizabeth, the royalty. Okay, your highness. Okay, so over here it was because of her that things completely changed. Then now next ahead we're moving to peak contributions, legacy, late 16th to early 17th century. Year 1590 से लेकर 1620 तक क्या हुआ. Now Renaissance ideas deeply influenced drama. Of course ड्रामा पे बहुत इफेक्ट हुआ, पोएट्री पे एंड साइंस पे. ये 3 सेगमेंट्स हैं जहाँ पे बहुत इफेक्ट हुआ. आई होप एवरीबडी इज एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस बिकॉज दिस विल हेल्प यू अ लॉट इन राइटिंग आंसर्स. अभी तो दिस लेसन आई एम जस्ट टेलिंग यू दैट दिस लेसन आई एम explaining it to you. I will also teach you how you will be formulating and framing answers. But let's focus on understanding the ages. Okay, so over here as we look ahead, drama was the one that flourished a lot during that time. Shakespeare ka plays combined classical influence with innovative storytelling. Then there was poetry, development of the sonnet and lyrical. Shakespeare himself was a great poet. Ben Jonson was a great poet. Then there were metaphysical poets that were coming. बहुत poetry developed during that time. Shakespeare was the one leading everything. Okay, and of course science, advancements in astronomy, medicine and navigation. This was making England stronger. ओके, इंग्लैंड ऐसे ही नहीं स्ट्रांग हुआ है, इंग्लैंड ऐसे ही नहीं कॉलोनाइज करने लगा है, वो अपने आप को बहुत स्ट्रांग पहले से कर रहा था बिकॉज ऑफ आर्ट, लिटरेचर, साइंस एंड एवरीथिंग. ओके, देन मूविंग अहेड टू द नेक्स्ट वन वी हैव हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड 1550 से लेकर 1630 तक हम लोग पहले देखते हैं कि हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड क्या था. दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड. दिस पीरियड 1550 से लेकर 1603 में क्वीन एलिजाबेथ की डेथ हो गई थी. 1630 तक हम लोग इसलिए लेते हैं क्योंकि बहुत टुमल्टुअस टाइम था 1630 तक. सो विल सी, विल टेक द टाइम फ्रेम 1550 टू 1630. जस्ट अ सेकेंड. सो हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड में जब हम लोग बात करेंगे यहाँ पे, this period covers the reign of Elizabeth I, its peak conclusion, and the literary decline under the first Stuart monarchs. Key features of this time can be summarized as stability in politics. बहुत stable हो गया था politically. England very powerful. No European country was able to defeat England. इतना ज़्यादा politically stable हो गया था. Union of crowns. Now 1603 में the Union of Scotland and England under James I ended their long-standing conflicts. 1603 में जब एलिजाबेथ द फर्स्ट की डेथ हुई, सो जेम्स द फर्स्ट जो स्कॉटलैंड के किंग थे, एंड ऑफ कोर्स द ब्रदर ऑफ क्वीन एलिजाबेथ, ही वॉज द वन जिन्होंने बोला कि ऐसा है कि स्कॉटलैंड और इंग्लैंड को साथ करो, मैं इंग्लैंड का भी किंग बनूंगा, मैं स्कॉटलैंड का भी किंग बनूंगा. जो एनिमोसिटी राइवलरी चल रही है ना इंग्लैंड और स्कॉटलैंड के बीच में, उसको खत्म करो. अब क्या हुआ, इससे और पॉलिटिकली स्ट्रांग हो गया इंग्लैंड. ओके, सो द एनिमोसिटी एंडेड एंड दे बोथ बिकेम वन. इनकी आर्मीज वन, एवरीथिंग बिकेम, दे बिकेम वेरी वेरी स्ट्रांग इन मिलिट्री, पॉलिटिकली, इन एवरी विच वे. Impact on literature, political peace created a favorable environment for literary and growth. Then you have literary growth. Okay, next. Mental and geographical growth, knowledge from the east and discoveries in the west expand intellectual horizon. I told you this was the period when exploration started. जब ये लोग इंडिया आने लगे. इंडिया कब आए थे? Just 1599 में when they reached India, they were like, what a continent. And then they reached everywhere. America पहुंच गए, Africa पहुंच गए. The colonial expansion started beginning during that period. Cultural influence, Shakespeare reference, these discovery like the still vexed birth mood. So अगर हम लोग शेक्सपियर की बात करें ना, शेक्सपियर ने भी इसका colonial expansion का बड़ा references दिए. We'll study in our future classes. Impact on literature. Literature कैसे बढ़ा? Revolutionary discoveries inspired creativity and enriched literary themes, and writers incorporated global perspective. लोग globally जो चीजें हो रही है उसके बारे में बात करने लगे. Then moving ahead to the next one that we have. Next slide. Literary features of the age 1550 to 1630, the new classicism, influence of the Renaissance. If we have a look at this, influence of the Renaissance brought a revival of classical Greek and Latin studies, illuminating many intellectual areas. A lot of Greek scholars, classical scholars, जो बहुत ही ancient थे, Greek, Roman, everything started influencing. Impact on the English language. Classical influences shaped English literature, introducing new styles. However, overuse of Greek and Latin forms created challenges for the natural flow of English. अब जैसे जैसे ये आया, तो of course the language will also will undergo a change. And this is how English में क्यों इतने Latin phrases हैं, Roman phrases हैं, French phrases हैं. We'll see to that, okay? But language was also going through a tremendous change. Result, after a transitional phase, English absorbed classical languages. Classical influences benefiting from their polished sophistication. This is the reason English language today in this time is such a rich language in every which way, okay? Then moving ahead to the next one. Abundance of output, explosion of literary work. The Elizabethans saw an extraordinary volume of literary production. If you look at the literary production during that time, you will be completely, it's wonderful. It's actually overwhelming. क्योंकि शेक्सपियर ने कितने सारे plays लिखे, 37 plus plays he has written. Ben Jonson wrote so many plays. There were so many other authors like Webster थे, Middleton थे, and then of course there was Edmund Spenser. There was huge number of writers writing their time. Overwhelming display of output on literature was seen during the period of Renaissance. और बहुत ज़्यादा James the First as well as उनकी previous जो queen थी Elizabeth the First was the one to encourage it a lot. In fact, James the First also wrote the authorized version of Bible. He was so much interested and inclined towards literature, and he so much wanted कि Bible should be also read by common man, that he pushed himself, and it is even today time, it is the authorized version of Bible that is legitimately read by a lot of people, okay? So public engagement, literary topics gained significant public attention and even became the matters of national importance. Then you have lively controversies. Writers engage in personal, often, very funny banter. Verbal wars होती थी, मजेदार बातें होती थी. Often scurrilous debate reflecting the passion for literature of that time. Significant despite some trivial disputes, the widespread interest and creativity enriched the literary culture. उन लोगों में डिबेट तो होता था, बातें हो रही हैं, वर्ड्स हो रहे हैं, जैसे हम लोग आज के टाइम पे आर्टिकल्स आते हैं, कोई किसी का रिप्लाई करता है, उस टाइम पे भी अगर जैसे विलियम शेक्सपियर ने कोई प्ले बनाया, बेन जॉनसन विल से समथिंग अबाउट इट, और बेन जॉनसन ने बनाया तो थॉमस डेकर विल से समथिंग अबाउट इट. सो देयर वाज वर्बल वर्ड्स यूज्ड टू हैपन. बट इससे क्या हुआ? इससे लिटरेचर ही तो रिच हुआ, राइट? देन यू हैव the new romanticism, romantic quest, focus on exploring the remote, the wonderful, and the beautiful. When you talk about romanticism in literature, it is not the romantic relationship that we're talking about. It is about the pursuit, the endeavor, striving to find something that is beautiful. What is beautiful? Look at the nature around yourself. Look at everything that inspires you. कि आप उसको सजा के रखें, उसको निहारें, उसके बारे में बातें करें. That is romanticism. So focused on exploring the remote, the wonderful, and the beautiful. Elizabethan age as romantic epic. It was marked by revolt against past traditions. जो past traditions से भूल जाओ. एक renewed spirit थी जिंदगी जीने की. Okay. So writers and thinkers embraced bold ideas and creative freedom. There was freshness of energy. There was renewed energy. There was, vigor, colorful ideas to live life. And this is the Elizabethan age was like the youth of English literature, characterized by buoyancy, daring, and innovation. Okay. So remember, when you think of Renaissance, when you think of the Elizabethan age, think of as a very lively, beautiful age, जहाँ पे England के पास was nothing but prosperity. Okay. So next we're moving ahead towards the drama. अब हम लोग थोड़ा literature aspect में बात करते हैं कि कैसे literature grow हुआ. ड्रामा में बहुत मेच्योरिटी आ गई थी. द ग्रोथ एंड मेच्योरिटी, द ड्रामा इवॉल्व क्विकली, रीचिंग आर्टिस्टिक हाइट्स. देयर वर चैलेंजेस, डिस्प्यूट्स अमंग एक्टर्स वर ऑफन देयर, बट स्टिल इट वाज फ्लरिशिंग. नया नया चीज थी, नया नया शौक था, सबको आगे बढ़ना था, बट it was happening in a very lively manner. Licensing of 2 troops in 1594, ये 2 troops थे जो कि लाइसेंस मिला था कि आप ही परफॉर्म करेंगे प्लेस. एक था लॉर्ड चेम्बरलेन एंड लॉर्ड एडमिरल्स हेल्प शेड्यूलाइज द थिएटर इंडस्ट्री. Then moving ahead to the next one. Controversies plays often engaged in contemporary debates, and then Puritan opposition to drama grew. Now, who were Puritans? Puritans were a segment, a set of people, you can say, जो बहुत religious थे, बहुत ही ज़्यादा. They were just they wanted to live the life according to whatever was written in the Bible. In fact, उससे भी ज़्यादा, बहुत ज़्यादा strict थे. And they said ये जो drama है, ये जो art है, literature है, ये सब इंसान को गुमराह कर रहा है, ये सब मोह माया है. वो लोग कहते थे कि ये सब गलत चीज़ें हैं और वो गलत चीज़ों को स्प्रेड कर रही हैं, सोसाइटी को इमोरल कर रही है, ड्रामा तो होना ही नहीं चाहिए. ओके, दिस इज व्हाट देयर बिलीफ वाज. और ये सब कुछ उन लोग ने जब पावर में आए थे ना, ये सब सच भी हो गया था. विल टॉक अबाउट दिस. Anyway, so Puritans started rising during this period, during the early 17th century. So Puritan opposition dramas grew with works like Ghosts and School of Abuse, countered by Sidney's Apology for Poetry and all. Okay, then there was a decline. जब Puritans rise होने लगे, जब एक opposition मिलने लगा, तो लोगों को भी थोड़ा resist करने लगे. Despite reaching a peak with Shakespeare, the drama shows signs of decline before the period's end. थोड़ा सा period में, जब जैसे ही Renaissance के period में, there was a decline. ऑपोजिशन शुरू होने लगा था. सो ऑफ कोर्स, एंड वी ऑल नो कि हर पीरियड का एक जॉनरा होता है जो डोमिनेट करता है. ड्रामा ने कम से कम 40-50 साल डोमिनेट किया है. उसके बाद से एक ग्रेजुअल डिक्लाइन होने लगा था, जो कि एक नॉर्मल बात है. ओके, नेक्स्ट यू गोइंग अहेड टू कि poetry, significant and beautiful aspect of poetry was there, while not as dominant as drama. Poetry was very popular at that time. There was popular passion poetry captured the imagination of the time. Key figures कौन-कौन से थे? एडमंड स्पेंसर थे, शेक्सपियर भी पोएट्री लिखते थे, एंड द फेरी क्वीन जो उनकी थी वो बहुत फेमस है. फेरी क्वीन इज नॉट इन योर सिलेबस, बट जस्ट मेंशनिंग इट, ऑलवेज गुड टू मेंशन सच राइटर्स व्हेन यू राइटिंग अ हिस्टोरिकल एस्पेक्ट पे आंसर. ठीक है. Then you have Next question, next one, prose. There was rise in importance. Prose became very important. Prose मतलब essay type. Okay, essay type जो works थे वो बहुत अच्छा आने लगा. There was breaking free from Latin. People started writing in English. There was rapid development. काफी prose में rapid development होने लगा. लोग articles लिखने लगे. And then there was pamphlet writing during that time. And notable figures कौन थे? Sir Francis Bacon. I'm sure a lot of students must be familiar with this name because he was the one to give a strong impetus to scientific revolutions during that period. Then next we're going ahead. ओके, स्कॉटिश लिटरेचर. नाउ वी नो कि स्कॉटलैंड भी तो आ गया था ना इंग्लैंड के साथ जेम्स द फर्स्ट में, तो स्कॉटिश लिटरेचर भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो गया था एट दैट टाइम. नाउ आफ्टर अ ब्रीफ बट रिमार्केबल पीरियड इन द प्रीवियस एज, स्कॉटिश लिटरेचर डिसअपियर हो गया था. उसका ना 14th सेंचुरी में बहुत अच्छा रोल था, अराउंड इनफैक्ट 15th सेंचुरी में, बट 16th सेंचुरी में स्कॉटिश लिटरेचर एकदम गायब हो गया था. लेकिन फिर से उसका रिवाइवल हो गया. अब जब इंग्लैंड के साथ आया दोबारा से, देयर वाज अगेन अ रिवाइवल इन स्कॉटिश लिटरेचर. It did not, hiatus मतलब break होता है, so it did not re-emerge until the late 18th century, marking a curious gap in literary production of Scotland. Then historical, and now we are moving ahead towards another important age. ये हमारा टाइम था जहाँ पे हमने देखा कि कैसे रेनेसा आया, कैसे रेनेसा एकदम पीक पे आया, सारे लिटरेचर, ड्रामा, फिर धीरे धीरे सब नीचे जा रहा है. 1630 से लेकर 1660 तक, a time जहाँ पे Puritans were the ones who were ruling their country. We'll look at that. The period was dominated by political upheaval, civil war. Puritans on the one side and your Protestants on the other side. They were like कि ये जो है ये एक you can say religious confrontations थे, cultural confrontations थे, where Puritans wanted England to be very, very pure and just follow the religious tenets, norms, ideologies. And on the other side, the Protestants were like, no, we need to have a liberal way of life. So, which profoundly influenced England history. Now, 1630 to 1642, growing conflicts between King Charles I and the Parliament over governance, religion, and finances. जब King Charles आए थे, King Charles I, when he was the one, after James I कौन आया? King Charles I आए थे. उनके और गवर्नमेंट के बीच में बहुत आर्ग्यूमेंट्स होने लगे थे. So this was a very, very important segment. Just a second, guys. So yes, so over here, sorry. Yes, growing conflicts between King Charles I and Parliament over governance, religion, and finances. This became the moot point of their conflict. Okay, Charles I and government में. Now, alarms and unrest gradually led to open hostilities. Then you had, उसके बाद ये hostility ये कैसे civil war में बदला? Then the civil war 1642 से लेकर 1649 तक civil war थी. जो चार्ल्स द फर्स्ट के साथ थे उनको कहते थे कैविलियर्स कहते थे, और जो गवर्नमेंट के साथ उनको प्योरिटन्स कहते थे. ठीक है, प्योरिटन्स वर द वन हु वर टोटली अगेंस्ट ऑल दोस थिंग दैट वाज कल्चरली ओके विद चार्ल्स द फर्स्ट. Now, spasmodic fighting, intermittent battles between royalists were there and parliamentarians, and the war culminated in the execution of Charles I in 1649. Oliver Cromwell, जो कि parliamentarians को represent कर रहे थे, उन्हीं ने 1649 में बोला कि अब मैं हूँगा इसका लीडर. 1649 में मोनार्क को चार्ल्स द फर्स्ट को behead कर दिया गया था. He was executed. Okay, so this was a very turning point in history of English literature. So the Commonwealth and Cromwell, मतलब 1649 जब चार्ल्स द फर्स्ट की जब डेथ हुई थी, उस 1649 से लेकर 1660 तक, मतलब अराउंड 11 साल एक कॉमनवेल्थ पीरियड चला था जहाँ पे ओलिवर क्रॉमवेल वाज द वन हु वाज द लीडर ऑफ इंग्लैंड. ओके, Commonwealth established in 1649. England became a republic after the monarchy was abolished. इंग्लैंड ने बोला हम लोग रिपब्लिक है, हम लोग मोनार्की नहीं, हम लोग रिपब्लिक रहेंगे, मोनार्की की हमें जरूरत ही नहीं है. Oliver Cromwell was the one to lead this entire thing. Cromwell assumed control as Lord Protector 1653-1658, ruling with a military authority. Military का बैकअप लेके Oliver Cromwell आए, thinking that I am indispensable, I will be the one leading England, and King Charles the First चले गए, I am the leader. Cromwell death, लेकिन things totally changed. 1658 में क्या हुआ? Completely पासा पूरा पलट गया, and Oliver Cromwell was the one who was executed this time. और किंग चार्ल्स फर्स्ट के जो बेटे थे, किंग चार्ल्स सेकंड, जो कि फ्रांस भाग गए थे जब उनको पता चला था उनके फादर की डेथ हो गई है. ऑफ कोर्स ही हैड टू एस्केप, क्योंकि मोनार्की की तो पूरी लाइन को खत्म करना था ना. बट किंग चार्ल्स सेकंड चले गए थे फ्रांस, बट अपनी आर्मी लेके जब उन्होंने लड़ाई किया एंड एवरीथिंग, ही केम बैक टू द थ्रोन इन 1658. किंग चार्ल्स सेकंड वाज द वन टू take the charge. So his death led to confusion and instability a lot during that period. Then you have next one, restoration of the monarchy in 1660. The monarchy was restored with King Charles II, ending the Commonwealth and marking a return to traditional government. जो रिपब्लिक होने का एक आइडिया था वो खत्म हो गया. वापस से 1660 में इंग्लैंड एक monarchy country बन गया, a country that was led by the monarch Charles II. Charles II अलग level के, you know, he was another very very different sort of a person, because वो फ्रांस से आए थे, and France was a very open cultured society, and he brought many different fashionable ideas to England when he came to England, returned from France. Now how was it? Okay, we will look at how things changed. The reaction declined from Elizabethan standards. पोएट्री का आउटपुट कम हो गया. ओके, जस्ट अ सेकंड गाइस, गिव मी 1 minute. आई एम टेकिंग द क्लास. ओके, आई विल कॉल यू बैक. ओके, ऑल राइट, सॉरी गाइस. सो लिटरेरी फीचर्स ऑफ द 1630 से लेकर 1660 तक हम लिटरेरी फीचर्स देखते हैं. अभी तक हमने पॉलिटिकली देखा कि किस तरह से किंग चार्ल्स द फर्स्ट को मारा गया, कैसे ओलिवर क्रॉमवेल आए, फिर ओलिवर क्रॉमवेल को भी मारा गया और किंग चार्ल्स सेकंड आए. ये कितने शॉर्ट पीरियड में हुआ है, 1630 से 1660 तक. ये इन 30 सालों में सब कुछ हो गया. ठीक है, अब हम देखते हैं पोइट्री, ड्रामा, इनका सब क्या का हाल क्या था. सो डिक्लाइन फ्रॉम एलिजाबेथन स्टैंडर्ड्स पोइट्री, स्मॉलर आउटपुट वाज देयर. अब यू नो इतने टुमल्टुअस टाइम पे किसी को पोइट्री लिखने का मन नहीं करेगा. क्या लिखने का मन करेगा? आर्टिकल्स, एसेज, आर्ग्यूमेंट्स लोग करेंगे. सो prose was the one to increase and poetry was the one to decline. Okay, smaller outputs focused on shorter forms and intellectual play of fancy replaced the passion profundity of the earlier age. Prose was the one to increase during that time. Then what happened? The pressure of historical events, जो 30 साल में इतना ज़्यादा politically charged हो रहा था, that impact of the civil war. Can you look at this? How can anybody enjoy writing poetry जब आपके देश में लोग एक दूसरे को मार रहे हो? Okay, so bitter division of the nation. Sorry guys. Bitter division of the nation influenced literature deeply. Writers often aligned with either the royalist or the parliamentarian factions. तो क्या हुआ था कि इतने अब लोग आर्ग्यूमेंट्स में आने लगे थे, या तो फिर आप रॉयलिस्ट के साथ हो या तो फिर आप पार्लियामेंटेरियंस के साथ हो. तो entire debate was more on this. Milton, dominant literary figures, stands as the greatest writer of the age. Now Milton was what? Do you know? Milton was not a royalist. Milton, जो जॉन मिल्टन थे, जिनके बारे में पैराडाइज लॉस्ट आपकी बुक, आपके कोर्स में है, बुक 1, 4th and I think 9th बुक भी है. So and 6 also. So John Milton was the one with Oliver Cromwell. He was never with a royalist. उसको चाहता था कि इंग्लैंड रिपब्लिक हो. He did not want कि monarchy system वापस से आए. So John Milton was the one who very profoundly and openly wrote against the royalist. Okay, so prose, masterful controversial writings. His works such as Paradise Lost are of course important and they are in your course as well. So John Milton came. The metaphysical poets were also during that time, especially the Cavalier poets. Cavalier poets किसके लिए थे? Cavalier poets were with the royalist. Okay, they were the coined by Dr. Johnson. We'll talk about metaphysical poets right now. Cavalier poets were also a set of group poets. Now these metaphysical poets, if we talk about these, just a second, metaphysical poets कौन थे? अगर हम लोग बात करें इनके बारे में, this was coined by Dr. Johnson to describe poets influenced by John Donne. अब ये यहाँ पे क्या इंपॉर्टेंट नाम है? जॉन डन इंपॉर्टेंट नाम है. जॉन डन इस टाइम पे आए थे और वो ऐसी पोएट्री लिख रहे थे which was very different and unique. Why? Because he was writing love poetry. बट द पोइट्री जहाँ पे जोग्राफिकल और साइंटिफिक डिस्कवरीज का भी मेंशन हो रहा था. नो दिस वाज वेरी यूनिक एट दैट टाइम, क्योंकि इतना विजनरी एस्पेक्ट था उनकी पोइट्री में. एंड दिस इज द रीजन कि वो उस टाइम पे इतना पॉपुलर नहीं हुए थे. लेकिन काफ़ी साल के बाद जब डॉक्टर सैमुअल जॉनसन ने जॉन डन का वर्क पढ़ा, थॉमस कैरी का वर्क पढ़ा, जॉन सक्लिंग का वर्क पढ़ा, इनका वर्क पढ़ा, ही वाज लाइक कि दिस इज अ वेरी डिफरेंट फॉर्म ऑफ पोइट्री. तो डॉक्टर सैमुअल जॉनसन who was there in the 18th century, उन्हीं ने बोला था कि ये थे metaphysical poets. Okay, so features blend of passion and intellectual thought, use of learned imagery, striking conceits and psychological depth. This was their USP. Conceits क्या होते हैं? Conceits were far-fetched metaphors. Okay, we'll talk about them. Well, we'll be talking about John Donne and metaphysical aspects. इस पे बहुत अच्छे questions आते हैं. I'll teach you how to frame answers also. So key poets कौन कौन से metaphysical poets में? John Donne थे, Richard Crashaw, George Herbert, Henry Vaughan, Andrew Marvell, and so on. Okay. Then moving ahead to the next one, कैविलियर पोएट, जिनके बारे में बात करी थी, बहुत सारे जो उनके पोएट्स थे, they were also Cavalier poets. Now the Cavalier poets were, Cavalier poets कौन थे? Cavalier poets were the one जो कि रॉयलिस्ट के साथ थे. Okay, focused on love, worldly pleasures, and concise clarity and polished grace. Okay, they were influenced by Ben Jonson, and they were with the royalists. Let me just write this. वो किसको सपोर्ट करते थे? चार्ल्स द फर्स्ट को सपोर्ट करते थे. ठीक है. And their theme was Carpe Diem. What is Carpe Diem? Seize the day. Okay, so this was their philosophy. मतलब Carpe Diem. वो जो गाना है ना कि हर घड़ी बदल रही है धूप जिंदगी, हर पल यहाँ जी भर जियो, जो है समा कल हो ना हो. दैट इज Carpe Diem फिलोसफी. इनकी फिलोसफी थी कि सीज द डे, जो मोमेंट है आप उसको सीज करिए, उसमें जिए. ओके, सो दिस वाज. अब ये कौन किसकी फिलोसफी होगी? उन्हीं के पास फिलोसफी होगी ना जिनके पास कुछ करने को है नहीं, घर में पैसा है, आराम, ऐशो आराम है. ओके, सो दीज पीपल वर द वंस जो कि रॉयल कोर्ट में ही काम करते थे ज़्यादातर, ये कैवलियर पोएट्स, एंड दे वर इनफ विद मनी एंड ऑल दैट दे डिड वाज राइट पोएट्री. ओके, so key poets were Robert Herrick, Richard Lovelace, and Sir John Suckling. These were very, very popular during the 1630 and between 1630 and 1660. Okay, then by moving ahead towards the next one, and that is the collapses of the drama. Just a second. The Cavalier poets के बाद हम आते हैं फिर द कोलैप्स ऑफ द ड्रामा. अच्छा, यहाँ पे ड्रामा क्या था? 1642 में व्हाट हैपेंड वाज, प्योरिटन्स को बहुत पावर मिल गया था. प्योरिटन्स ने अपने पावर से यूज करके ड्रामा थिएटर्स को ही बंद करवा दिया. They were like, shut the drama theaters. It is creating a lot of vulgarity among the society. People are getting a bad influence. Shut the drama, shut the theaters. And this is exactly what happened. Civil disturbance and Puritan opposition suppressed theatrical activity. Theaters were closed in 1642, marking the end of drama's dominance. ओके, सो ड्रामा को पूरी तरीके से क्रश करने की कोशिश थी प्योरिटन्स की, और 1642 में ताले लग गए थे थिएटर्स पे. ओके, सो शिफ्ट इन लिटरेरी फोकस, मिल्टन्स एपिक पैराडाइज लॉस्ट बिकेम वेरी पॉपुलर ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम, एंड ड्रामेटिक वर्क्स प्रोड्यूस्ड ड्यूरिंग दिस टाइम वर मिनिमल एंड लार्जली इनसिग्निफिकेंट. तो कुछ भी ज़्यादा ड्रामेटिक एक्टिविटी हो ही नहीं रही थी. ओके, देन यू हैव कि हिस्टोरिकल. अब हम लोग आ रहे हैं जब ओलिवर क्रॉमवेल का डाउनफॉल. अभी तक कौन जीत रहा था? प्योरिटन जीत रहे थे. लेकिन 1660 से लेकर 1700 तक कौन जीता है? मोनार्की जीता है. जब ओलिवर क्रॉमवेल के 1658 में इनको एग्जीक्यूट किया गया, उसके बाद जब 1660 में चार्ल्स II आए, फ्रांस से आए, तो वो तो एक नई एनर्जी के साथ लाए. देयर वाज सो मच इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग्स दैट ही ब्रॉट फ्रॉम फ्रांस अबाउट आर्ट, लिटरेचर एंड स्पेशली ड्रामा. Now, if we look at this, जैसे King Charles II आए, वो तो ड्रामा के बहुत शौकीन थे. He said that, we got to unlock all the theaters and we need to have a new vigor with the drama. And you know what? Drama actually became very vulgar during that period, क्योंकि ऐसे scenes depict होने लगे थे on the stage, and all thanks to Charles II for his too much of open-mindedness that it became really, really crass. Now we'll talk about this. Okay, so what happened? What the three key historical events that shaped the literature of this period was the Restoration, and this was Even the return of Charles II to the throne after the collapse of the Puritan government. Okay, Oliver Cromwell was dead. Charles II came back. Impact on literature marked a cultural and literary revolution with suppressed activities returning in extreme forms. Look at this term, extreme forms. ड्रामा जो बंद हो गया था और इतना ज़्यादा उसको कर्ब किया गया था बिकॉज उसको कह देते थे इमोरल, अनदर लेवल ऑफ इमोरलिटी आने वाला था ड्रामा स्टेज पे. ओके, सो द कॉमनवेल्थ insistence on gravity and decorum was replaced by the restoration's embrace of levity, often leading to immorality and indecency. कॉमनवेल्थ पीरियड कौन सा होता था? कॉमनवेल्थ पीरियड को वो रेफर करते जो ओलिवर क्रॉमवेल का पीरियड था, मतलब 1642 से लेकर 1658 तक को पीरियड को ओलिवर क्रॉमवेल का पीरियड कहते थे. ठीक है, so all these things happen in comedy. When I talk about comedy, restoration age gave a huge impetus. Charles II जब आया ना, he was light-hearted man, he was very happy-go-lucky, सब कुछ बढ़िया चल रहा था, चंगा चल रहा था इंग्लैंड में. वो लाइक और चंगा करते हैं और मजाक, हंसी मजाक करो और you just display a kind of any sort of kind of a drama was there. So yes, there was vulgarity, there was profanity, there was explicit scenes which should not have been there, but which were very easily allowed by Charles II to happen. Okay, so this was happening during that time. Then we are moving ahead towards what exactly was there. The religious question. Charles II religion was suspect and his brother James, the heir apparent, was openly Catholic. Now guys, we got to understand one thing. England during that time, religion was playing a very important role. Of course, we all know that Protestants largely it was the Protestants and the Catholics जिनके बीच में ये dispute था. Okay, so Catholics were the one who were kind of looked down upon and they were like कि इन लोगों को हमें इनका Catholics का कोई monarch नहीं होना चाहिए. अगर कोई monarch होगा वो Protestant होगा. ये बहुत बड़ा एक argument था during that time. Now Charles II was a Protestant, लेकिन कुछ लोगों को शक होता था कि नहीं ये Catholic है because of his mother. But this was, a lot of people were sure with one thing कि चार्ल्स II का खुद का तो कोई एयर था या नहीं था, ये एक कंफ्यूजन था. लेकिन उनका जो ब्रदर था, जो उनका चार्ल्स II रिलीजन वाज सस्पेक्ट एंड हिज ब्रदर, जो उनका ब्रदर जेम्स थे चार्ल्स II के, he the heir was openly Catholic. चार्ल्स जेम्स ने बोला that I am a Catholic and I will be the heir. I will be the king. I am the heir and I will be the king and I am Catholic. अब जो प्रोटेस्टेंट जनता थी, मेजरली तो जनता 90% वाज प्रोटेस्टेंट, सो दे वर लाइक कि हम लोग कैसे कैथलिक को ले लेंगे, अगर कैथलिक किंग आ गया तो सारे कैथलिक्स को अच्छी पोजीशंस मिलेगी. तो दे वर कंप्लीटली अगेंस्ट जेम्स, किंग जेम्स. The fear of Catholicism dominated public opinion and literature. So there were fabricated lies of Titus Oates known as the Popish plot, transferred public frenzy. So there were many such plots that were happening जो जहाँ पे कैथलिक्स को और ज़्यादा गंदे नेगेटिव लाइट में पोर्ट्रे होना होता था. The Earl of Shaftesbury's attempt to exclude James from the throne and promote the Duke of Monmouth became a major political drama. So एक Earl of Shaftesbury थे, उन्हीं ने बोला कि मैं जेम्स को तो नहीं बनने दूंगा, he is a Catholic, मैं जेम्स को तो नहीं बनने दूंगा इंग्लैंड का मोनार्क. A Catholic cannot be the monarch of a Protestant country. किसने बोला था? ये अर्ल ऑफ शैफ्टसबरी ने बोला था. एंड अर्ल ऑफ शैफ्टसबरी किसको बनाना चाहते थे मोनार्क? वो बनाना चाहते ड्यूक ऑफ मॉनमाउथ को, जो कि प्रोटेस्टेंट था, एंड ही वाज रूमर्ड टू बी द इलेजिटिमेट सन ऑफ किंग चार्ल्स II. एंड ही वाज लाइक ड्यूक ऑफ मॉनमाउथ बनेंगे, जेम्स तो नहीं बनेगा. सो दिस वॉज अ वेरी मेजर आर्ग्यूमेंट एंड एक्चुअली द पॉइंट ऑफ कंटेंशन ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम. अ लॉट ऑफ लिटरेचर हैज बीन रिटन स्पेशली बाय जॉन ड्राइडन. उन्होंने ये लिखा ही है, उन्होंने एक अकीटोफेल करके एक वर्क लिखा है जो इसी पे बेस्ड है. ठीक है, एब्सोलूम एंड अकीटोफेल. एनीवे, सो नेक्स्ट, मूविंग अहेड टू द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड. So this was a very, very politically driven period during that time. Okay. Impact on literature. Writers engage in religious political controversies a lot. इसी के टाइम पे बिकॉज इतना ज़्यादा रिलीजन चल रहा था दैट बहुत रिलीजियस पॉलिटिकल कॉन्ट्रोवर्सीज हुई थी ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम. स्पेशली एज आई मेंशन जॉन ड्राइडन का एब्सोलूम एंड अकीटोफेल, अ वेरी सेमिनल वर्क, वाज ऑल evolving around Duke of Monmouth and Earl of Shaftesbury. Okay, so this was an allegorical poem talking about the politics of that time. Then we have the revolution. Now 1688 में एक revolution हुआ. What was that revolution? James II, we can see James II overt Catholicism led to his rejection after 3 years on the throne. 1685 में James II आ तो गए throne में. James II, a Catholic, he became the king of England. Okay, England के king तो बन गए. This looks more like a cake, I'm sorry, but वो James II king तो बन गए, Catholic थे, England के king तो बन गए, लेकिन लोगों ने accept नहीं किया. 1688 में क्या हुआ? James II's overt Catholicism led to his rejection after 3 years on the throne. And 1688 revolution, he was replaced by Protestant monarch William III and Mary II in the Glorious Revolution. But 1688 में there were 2 other monarchs that came to the scene और वो लोग Protestant थे और इसी की वजह से उनको बोला गया कि ये हमारे kings होंगे, queen होगा, and James II नहीं होंगे. James II was ousted. And why was he ousted? Because a Catholic king cannot be accepted from in a Protestant majority land. Impact on literature, अब इसका impact on literature पे हो गई, right? So religious passions diminished and public focus shifted to political themes, and literature began emphasizing political issues rather than religious controversies. Okay, so this became a very, very important one कि political issues became more important और religious controversies कम हो गई. Politics इतना ज़्यादा involve हो गया था. Then you have, moving ahead, what happened next? So over here, the new classicism, now post 1660 literature जो हमारा था, it focused a lot on classical literature. Okay, अब देखो धीरे धीरे अगर हम literature world, literary world में देखें तो things are improving in a very, very better manner. तो अब धीरे धीरे लोगों में रिवाइवल ये हो रहा था कि हम लोग ये तो देखें कि हमारे जो बहुत पुराने राइटर्स थे, जैसे वर्जिल हो गया, दांते हो गए, ये सब लोग क्या लिख रहे हैं. ये सब बहुत पुराने ग्रीक राइटर्स थे, रोमन राइटर्स थे, एंड देयर वाज अ न्यू इंटरेस्ट that we want to look at how they were writing, and we need to write according to that. So the restoration period over here, if we see post 1660 literature, when we talk about the restoration period, marked a significant departure from the Elizabethan romanticism. Okay, so there was a significant departure. Yahan pe things were mostly related to a good pleasurable life, towards love, towards all this. Lekin restoration age shifted. How it shifted? Ushered in a new literary style and spirit. This era is often referred to as the classical period. Why? Because इसने उनको कॉपी करना था जो क्लासिकल राइटर्स है. क्लासिकल राइटर्स के पास एक ऑर्डर था, एक रिस्ट्रेन था. देयर वाज ऑर्डर, रिस्ट्रेन एंड अ रैशनल अप्रोच टू आर्ट एंड लिटरेचर एंड नॉट अ वेरी पैशनेट अप्रोच. एक रैशनल लिखते थे, सोच समझ के लिखते थे, रीजन के साथ लिखते थे, इन कंट्रास्ट टू द पैशनेट एंड इमेजिनेटिव लिटरेचर दैट वाज बीइंग रिटन इन द रेनेसां पीरियड. ओके, देन मूविंग अहेड टू अनदर वन, how it came out. Let's go ahead. So features of the new classicism. कैसे classical literature आया? By 1660 Elizabethan romanticism had faded. जो passionate love poetry and the passionate imaginative poetry that was being written, वो कम हो गई और क्या आने लगा? जैसे John Milton, though alive writing Paradise Lost, was deeply rooted in the earlier era of the show, showed no signs of embracing restoration ideals. John Milton is known as the last star of the Renaissance. ओके, जॉन मिल्टन जो रेस्टोरेशन एज में लिखा था, लेकिन उनको तभी भी वो रेनेसा की तरफ इंक्लाइन थे. लेकिन कौन क्लासिकल राइटर्स को बहुत फॉलो करता था? जैसे कि जॉन ड्राइडन, Alexander Pope, all these were focusing a lot on your classical writers. So restoration brought a new literary outlook with subject by style reflecting a different spirit attitude. Okay, next you have imitation of the ancient. So जैसे मैंने बताया, ancient writers को imitate करना, lacking the genius originality of the Elizabethan writers, all these restoration writers, they started imitating the ancient writers. This imitation emphasized structure, clarity and adherence to establish literary forms. उन्होंने बोला कि एक हम लोग तरीके से लिखेंगे, हम लोग कैलकुलेट स्ट्रैटेजिकली लिखेंगे. तो उनकी जो राइटिंग थी ना बड़ी कैलकुलेटेड होने लगी. मतलब कि हीरोइक कपलेट में लिखना है, आयाम्बिक पेंटामीटर में लिखना है, आयाम्बिक हेक्सामीटर में लिखना है. More than giving a very passionate, powerful overflow of your feelings in your poetry, they began writing in a very calculated manner. ठीक है, तो रिदम भी होनी चाहिए, मीटर भी होना चाहिए, फॉर्म भी होना चाहिए, सिंटैक्टिक्स भी एकदम सही होने चाहिए. This is how they started functioning. Okay, then there was, so the contrast with Elizabethan romantic, passionate, imaginative literature completely changed, okay, and a serious literature came. Can you look at the figure? ये हमारा Renaissance का colorful, passionate, imaginative writing, but it is being replaced by some serious writing over here. Rational, formal, and governed by desire for balance and harmony. Something that is pretty serious, okay? Then comes key feature of the neoclassicism, post-1660 literature, imitation of the ancients. हमने बात की है इसके बहुत दिग्गज जो writer थे, and that was Alexander Pope, who advocated for strict adherence to ancient rules, okay? He was the one to rule it. And interesting part, Alexander Pope was also a Catholic, okay? So इनके भी बड़े दुश्मन हो गए थे उस time पे, but he was very loved also, okay? And still I really appreciate and admire his poetry because he was very full of wisdom, his writings, okay? So to copy nature is to follow the classical models as they represent timeless truth and national order. ये इनकी philosophy थी कि अगर हमको नेचर को कॉपी करना है तो हमें अपने क्लासिकल राइटर्स को देखना था कि वो लोग कैसे लिखते हैं, क्योंकि हमें पैशनेट नहीं होना है, हमें उनकी तरह ऑर्डरली वे में लिखना है ताकि देयर इज हार्मनी, देयर इज पीस एंड एवरीथिंग इज बीइंग शोन इन द राइटिंग, ओके. देन यू हैव नेक्स्ट वन एंड दैट इज ओके हो गया. Imitation of the French influence of Charles II was also very, very strong. He spent a large, जैसे मैंने बताया, Charles II was a very happy-go-lucky, a man who loved pleasures, good life, and he was a little frivolous also. So having spent his time in France, Charles II admired French culture and literature, and his French literary styles greatly influenced English drama. Now French influence on drama, French playwright Molière was a major inspiration. Molière ने भी बहुत influence किया था. And in tragedy, French and classical elements merged to create the heroic play. Okay, so heroic play आ गया था drama जो कि जॉन ड्राइडन ने बहुत किया था. हम लोग को heroic play पढ़ना है आपके कोर्स में, and we'll talk more about it. Then the correct school now shift from Elizabethan freedom. Elizabeth used classical influences with freedom and creativity, but जैसे मैंने बोला, restoration writers were more strict to the rules, rigidity, classical rules, learning, and nothing that was imaginative. Pope's definition of correctness, rules of old discovered, not devised, are nature still, but nature methodized. So we know Alexander Pope was all about classical writers and all. Then moving ahead, characteristics of the correct school, बहुत enthusiastic नहीं होना है, बहुत passionate नहीं होना है अपने writing के लिए. Avoidance of enthusiasm and excessive emotion. Moderate expression रखो, normal रहो, balance करके लिखो, and careful imitation of the Latin classics. Okay, Latin classics को हमें follow करना है और हमें carefully follow करना है कि हम लोग कहीं से भी चूके ना, ठीक है? This was their idea. So Dryden of the Augustan age, Dryden's role pioneered the principles of the neoclassicism and is considered its first great exponent, combined earlier vitality with emerging classical ideals, though not as rigidity as Pope. Okay, so Dryden and the Augustan legacy was a very crucial period. Why? Because Dryden was a strong advocate for classical writers और उसकी writing में बहुत vividly दिखता है ये. Okay. So Augustine, that is the जो Augustine epithet है. So Dr. Johnson likened Dryden's contribution, just a second guys, sorry. So Dryden's contribution to literature to Augustus' transformation of Rome from brick to marble legacy. Dryden's work laid the foundation for dominance of classical ideals in English literature until the late 18th century. जो ऑगस्टन एज है उसका जो नाम है ये किसने दिया था? डॉक्टर जॉनसन वाज द वन जिन्होंने बोला था कि व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय द वर्ड ऑगस्ट. एक तो दिस वाज अ वेरी नोबल, वेरी रॉयल सॉर्ट ऑफ एन एज, ऑगस्टन एज इसको बोला जाता है. सो दिस एंड ऑल्सो किंग ऑगस्टस वाज द वन जिन्होंने क्लासिकल राइटर्स को इन्फ्लुएंस किया था. This is the reason Dr. Samuel Johnson in the 18th century gave this name as the Augustan age. I'm just mentioning it over here. Then moving over here to the next slide. अब हम लोग आते हैं 1700 से लेकर 1750 तक. Now, what was that period? 1700 से लेकर 1750 तक. This period witnessed the emergence of new political dynamics that deeply influenced society and literature. Politically देखा जाए तो दो चीजें बहुत important हुई थी. Origin of Whigs and Tories. These were political parties. Okay, I've written it over here. These were political parties. तो ये politically बहुत ही important time था 1700 to 1750. The terms Whig and Tory emerged during the reign of Charles II and became very popular by 1700. Okay, so politicians divided into two groups. या तो फिर आप Whigs थे या तो फिर आप Tory थे. ठीक है, अब Whigs क्या follow करते थे, Tory क्या follow करते थे? Let us look at that. So key difference between Whigs and Tories. पॉलिटिकल आइडियोलॉजीज इनकी क्या क्या थी. विग्स जो थे, जो विग पॉलिटिकल पार्टी थी, वो एडवोकेट करती थी एडवोकेटेड पर्सनल फ्रीडम, कहती थी पर्सनल फ्रीडम एंड सपोर्टेड द हेनोवेरियन सक्सेशन. वो कहते थे कि पर्सनल फ्रीडम होनी चाहिए थी. एंड टोरीज कहते थे डिफेंडेड द रॉयल डिवाइन राइट एंड वर ऑफन जैकोबाइट सपोर्टर्स ऑफ द स्टुअर्ट लाइन. सो ऑफ कोर्स वी नो कि दो लाइंस आ गई थी कि हेनोवेरियन सक्सेशन जो कि चल रहा था एंड स्टुअर्ट लाइन. ओके, दे वर लाइक स्टुअर्ट लाइन को वापस आ जाना चाहिए, लेकिन दे वर लाइक नहीं, हेनोवेरियन सक्सेशन ही आना चाहिए. सो दे वर मोर personal freedom with Whigs, and with the Tories they defended the royal divine right. They were like more with the they used to believe that it is God who has sent this line, जो इनकी स्टुअर्ट लाइन है, और उसी को फॉलो करना चाहिए, the royal divine line. Okay, economic views, Tories drawn mainly from the landed classes opposed foreign wars due to the tax burden that they opposed. Then you have next one, Whigs. This way represented the trading classes and favored foreign wars as they boosted trade. Religious affiliation. Whigs, low churchmen favoring religious tolerance and less hierarchical structures. Tories were high churchmen. Matlab, they were religious, okay, they were not very fanatics, but Tories, they were high churchmen supporting traditional Anglican practices and the monarchy's connection to the church. तो एक टाइम जो Puritans थे, उनकी जगह के रिप्लेस कर लिया था Tories ने और Whigs ने. So these were the two factions that were constantly in war with each other. Okay, then moving ahead, impact on literature. अब जो growing animosity थी Tory और Whigs के बीच में, this influenced literary themes and debates. Writers engaged in battles, as in verbal battles. Okay, इसमें क्या होता है, बहुत verbal wars होती थी, and a lot of satires, a lot of work revolves around these two factions, Whigs and Tories. कुछ writers Whigs को support करते थे, Whigs के favor में लिखते थे. कुछ writers Tory को support करते थे, वो Tories के favor में लिखते थे. Then you have हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड. अगर कंटिन्यू देखें तो वॉर ऑफ द स्पेनिश सक्सेशन इन 1701 से लेकर 1713 तक की इवेंट्स क्या हुए थे. A major European conflict involving England that was led by General John Marlborough was a prominent Tory. This happened, and the war was highly successful for England initially, but grew unpopular due to its prolonged nature. जो war हुआ था वो 13 साल तक चला था, and that was the war of the Spanish succession. Though England won it, but it went on for such a long period of time, the cost that England paid was so high that it became really infamous after a point of time. The Tories supplanted the Whigs in 1710. The Tories आ गए थे power में 1710 में, and as dissatisfaction with the war grew, so the war ended with the Treaty of Utrecht, a peace agreement criticized as unfavorable for England. 1713 में, I'm sure a lot of students must have read about the Peace of Utrecht, a very important peace that happened in England, and this was something, a peace agreement criticized as unfavorable for England. England was the one who was at loss in this treaties. Then you had impact on literature. क्या हुआ कि writers engaged with both war success and the controversy surrounding it. And then there was Queen Anne's reign 1702 से लेकर 1714 तक. Queen Anne आ गई थी, initially secure due to her large family, but all her children predeceased her. Unfortunately, all her children died, and then again England was left with no heir. 1701 में एक और बात हुई थी, ensured Protestant succession by passing the throne to the House of Hanover, a Whig backed measure. 1701 में Hanoverian जो कि Whig support कर रहे थे, they were the one to take control of the seat. Now on जब एन की डेथ हुई थी 1714 में, कोई भी उनका हेir नहीं था. The throne passed to George I of Hanover despite Tory attempts to restore the Stuart line. Stuart line से कोई बचा ही नहीं. तो उसके बाद क्या हुआ कि अगेन द थ्रोन वाज पास टू जॉर्ज वन ऑफ द हेनोवर डिसेंट. अब ये तो हेनोवियन सक्सेस तो चली गई थी, बट अगेन इट केम बैक. Now, impact on writers, the events of this transition significantly influenced prominent writers like Joseph Addison, Steele, Swift, and every literature, if you see, was greatly influenced by that. Then you have spirit of the age, stability and prosperity. The first of the 18th century was marked by wealth, growing commerce, and aristocratic rule. Of course, England was developing economically, okay? Though politically there was turmoil, but there was stability, there was prosperity, society was free from industrial strife, cultural characteristics, emphasis on tolerance was there, there was moderation and common sense in public life and literature. There was a focus on refined manners, reason, and the English society was in a way growing in a mature manner. And there was no more society rules and regulations that being more formulated, and there was more stability in overall, if you look at England during that time. Religion, the established church pursued a moderate path and they avoided the dogmatic conflict जो कि evangelical revival को belong करते थे. Impact on literature, literary works reflected this middle way of control, reason and skepticism of enthusiasm. And writers ज़्यादातर rational work लिखते थे, balanced approach करने लगे थे, so things started changing for better during that period. Then you have the predominance of prose. 1700 से लेकर 1750 तक prose क्यों dominate किया था? Because you know अब there was more discussion and newspapers आने लगे थे, periodicals आने लगे थे, तो लोग जब पढ़ते थे तो उसके बारे में डिस्कशन होता था, क्रिटिकल आर्टिकल्स आने लगे थे. तो जब न्यूज़पेपर्स आए तो प्रोज तो अपने आप बढ़ेगा. प्रोज मतलब जो ऐसे राइटिंग होती थी, आर्टिकल राइटिंग होती थी, पैम्फलेट राइटिंग होती थी. सो ड्यूरिंग दिस पीरियड प्रोज टुक सेंटर स्टेज इन इंग्लिश लिटरेचर. सो क्या कौन सा मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट प्रोमिनेंट जॉनरा था? दैट वाज प्रोज. ना पोइट्री था, ना ड्रामा था, क्योंकि इतना सब जो हो रहा था इंग्लैंड में, इट हैड टू बी रिटन. ओके, इस वजह से न्यूज़पेपर्स, आर्टिकल्स, एवरीथिंग वाज बीइंग रिटन ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम. एंड सिग्निफिकेंट सेवरल फैक्टर्स कंट्रीब्यूटेड टू दिस शिफ्ट. So decline of poetic passion, this declined. The age moved away from the emotional and imaginative poetry. Ideas of wit and common sense, they dominated literary expression, and poetry focused on neatness, clarity and correctness rather than lyrical passion. So passionate chala gaya, more of reason, more of logic, more of talking about the things that was around. Then you have the heroic couplet. This heroic couplet became very important. Alexander Pope was the one to use heroic couplet. It is a very strategic way to write poetry. Iambic pentameter मतलब इसमें 10 syllables होते हैं, उसके according लिखना होता है. Alexander Pope stuck himself to that. Okay. Then you have dominance of prose writers. The greatest literary figures were Jonathan Swift, Joseph Addison and Richard Steele were the ones जिनके newspapers आए थे, जैसे Spectator, Tatler. They were the one to give so much impetus to English prose. In fact, ये तक बोला जाता है कि अगर आपने Joseph Addison के essay writing पढ़ लिया, your English will be polished. Such spectacular, immaculate way of writing Joseph Addison had. Daniel Defoe, all these were novelists, and they were also journalists first, writing in articles, and then they became novelists also. Then you have rise of journalism and periodicals. This actually became very, very important. Increased literacy was there, focus on reason and moderation. जब journals आए, periodicals आए, there was more focus on reason, there was more focus on moderation, and prose as a medium of communication. तो कोई article लिखता था, उसका कोई जवाब article की तरह में देता था. तो this is how prose became such an enriching genre. Key features of that age, political writing. We have seen that there was rise of political parties. Then the independence of writers, authors gained a lot of importance and independence compared to earlier periods. There was newfound influence often led to political bias in their works. Notable writers: Jonathan Swift, Joseph Addison, and Richard Steele. Prose writers. Now this was also golden age of pamphleteering. What were pamphlets? जैसे हम लोग आज भी देखते हैं pamphlets होते हैं ना, advertisements के लिए use होते हैं. उस time पे पैम्फलेट्स पे ना अपने व्यूज लिखते थे लोग, अपने आइडियाज, आइडियोलॉजीज पता चलती थी लोगों की क्या है, तो उस टाइम पे बड़ा सर्कुलेट होता था. सो वो एज था गोल्डन एज ऑफ पैम्फलेटेरिंग. दिस इज द रीजन प्रोज ऑल्सो इंक्रीज ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम. Political pamphlets flourished as a literary form, offering a sharp commentary, and writers used these pamphlets to engage in political discourse and satire. Okay, so कोई reply करता था and pamphlets के through में उसका reply वापस मिलता था. So this is how it was. Clubs and coffee houses. This was a time where clubs and coffee houses emerged. Okay, so clubs and coffee houses में पूरा एक जैसे कॉफी पे चर्चा होती थी, लोग डिस्कस करें कि ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए, पॉलिटिक्स डिस्कस हो रहा है एंड लिटरेरी राइटिंग्स डिस्कस हो रही हैं. सो दिस बिकेम द राइज ऑफ पॉलिटिकल एक्टिविटी लेड टू द ग्रोथ ऑफ क्लब्स एंड कॉफी हाउसेज जहाँ पे पॉलिटिक्स डिस्कस होती थी एंड ऑल दीज बिकेम वेरी पब्लिक एंड फैशनेबल लाइफ. So these venues became very important spaces for political discussion, literary collaboration, intellectual exchange, and influence in literature. Of course, coffee houses were clearing houses for literary and political ideas, and this fostered connections. लोगों में connections है, लोगों ने मिलके काम किया, and this is how literature also grew during that period. Then you had Richard Steele base his journal, The Tatler, on reports from clubhouses and coffee houses. Okay, this is very interesting. जो रिचर्ड स्टील थे उनका न्यूज़पेपर जो टैटलर था, दिस वाज एक्चुअली बेस्ड ऑन द डिस्कशंस जो यूज्ड टू हैपन इन द कॉफी हाउसेस. ही यूज्ड टू नोट देम डाउन, मेक आर्टिकल्स एंड पब्लिश देम इन द न्यूज़पेपर, व्हिच वाज लव्ड एंड वेरी पॉपुलर न्यूज़पेपर एट दैट टाइम, द टैटलर. So for instance, White Chocolate House, Gallantry, Pleasure and Entertainment, Will Coffee House, Poetry, Gresham Coffee House, Learning, and St. James Coffee House, Foreign and Domestic News. तो मतलब ये सारे कॉफी हाउसेस थे, वो लोग क्या क्या प्रोवाइड करते थे, ये सब है. White Chocolate House Gallantry प्रोवाइड करता था, Entertainment, Will Coffee House was Poetry, Gresham was Learning, and so on. Then you have famous clubs. कौन से थे? There was Scribblers Club, satirical group, जहाँ पे Jonathan Swift जो बहुत अच्छे राइटर थे वो थे, तो क्लब्स के भी मेंबर्स थे सारे राइटर्स, Jonathan Swift, Alexander Pope, and John Gay. Then there was Kit Kat Club, और इसके members they often associated with Whig writers and politicians, and often reflecting the fashionable and aristocratic circle of that time. So ये थोड़ा intellectual circle था, ये थोड़ा सा royalty वाला circle था. Now guys, this is important for you to understand the social political situation that was there in that time. Literature तो हम लोग पढ़ेंगे, but this is to get an idea of how England was during that period. Then you have historical background of 1740 से लेकर 1800 तक का क्या historical background था. This period covering the middle and later stages of the 18th century. Just a second, sorry. Just a second. This period covering the middle and later stage of the 18th century was shaped by significant historical movement that influenced. So there was reduced political hostility. 1740 से लेकर 1800, ये last segment है जो हम लोग focus कर रहे हैं, तो I'll just take 5 minutes more. So 1740 से लेकर 1800 तक there was a decline of the party food, reduced political hostility, the rivalry between Whigs and Tories persisted but lacked the intensity. अब लोग थोड़ा बोर हो जाते ना, कितना लड़ोगे? So Whigs and Tories were like थक गए थे और धीरे-धीरे वो कम होता गया, खत्म नहीं हुआ लेकिन कम होता गया. So the Tories' unpopularity and poor management left the Whigs dominated for nearly 30 years during the middle of the century. तो 30 साल तक Whigs ने बड़े आराम से, ऐश आराम से उसको फोकस किया. Now return, फिर उसके बाद 1760 में there was return of the Tory influence, वापस आ गया. With George III accession in 1760, the Tories regained power. Okay, the looming threat of the French Revolution added renewed ferocity to party politics. French Revolution कब हुआ है? 1789 में. So things were escalating during that time, and Tory was enjoying their power. Commercial and imperial expansion, economic growth was there, and under Robert Walpole, Britain experienced a period of peace and economic stability, and successful wars by his successors further expanded the British Empire, leading to immense wealth and global influence. Okay, yes, we see that this is how this was a period where Britain was gaining power across the globe and expanding its empire. Okay, then you have literary impact. Material prosperity encouraged research, creativity in original work, and the acquisition of India and America inspired new ideas. Okay, this was a time when they realized that, okay, we have one India. In 1757, when they won the war, they were like, they have one India, and they were expanding their empire with full vigor. Okay, so revolution stimulated literary debate and reflection seen in the writings of Edmund Burke. वैसे literature आ गया था, and this was a time जहाँ पे इंडिया की जो image थी बहुत ही अलग तरीके से different तरीके से दिखाई गई थी, and that was being accepted that India is a land of uncivilization, uncultured, uncouth, and so on. We'll discuss this more, all right, later in the classes. Now, the French Revolution 1789. So, revolutionary ideas had been brewing throughout the 18th century. This was fueled by societal unrest and new philosophical concept. As Edmund Burke ने बोला था, the storm of revolution was blackening the horizon long before 1789. Now, this French Revolution जब ये आया है, this actually sent shockwaves across the Europe continent. So impact on literature भी वैसे ही था. The revolution stirred deep response in English literature. So the spirit of literature during that time was revolutionary, rebellion. People were that, enough of the focus on the elite, on the upper class, on the royalty, on the monarchs. The focus should be on the common man. Okay, the ordinary man. So the profound effects of the revolution are evident in the works of this period, continuing the next literary phase, jahan pe focus was on the ordinary man instead of giving the focus on the elite aspect, okay, on the royalty aspect, on the monarchs and so on. Then you have, talking about this, moving ahead. So key literary tendencies transition, the period bridged between classicism and romanticism, and this was marked by evolving literary ideas, allegiance to classicism, writers who adhered to classical ideals valued order, clarity, and Samuel Johnson was a very important figure जहाँ पे critical literature बहुत ही propagate किया था, and his influence was vast, embodying the strength of the older literary ideals. अगर इंग्लिश लिटरेचर में क्रिटिकल पीरियड शुरू हुआ है तो जॉन ड्राइडन ने शुरू किया था, उसके बाद डॉक्टर सैमुअल जॉनसन, अ वेरी सेमिनल नेम व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट लिटरेरी क्रिटिसिज्म. ओके, मूविंग अहेड. Emergence of romanticism. Now this was a time when romanticism was emerging, and we all know the romantic writers that we have Samuel Taylor Coleridge, William Wordsworth, Keats, Shelley, Byron. Okay, so these were the poets जो कि किस पे focus कर रहे थे? On ordinary man. So growing movement searching for new forms of expression and values. This began with James Thomson का Seasons in 1730 में. Okay, so just a second. 1730 में and gained momentum later in the 17th century. Return to nature. Instead of classical writers, please let us have a look at the nature and write about that. This was the romantic ideal. Okay, so this was the value that was there, that focused on the real untamed nature of the earth and skies, moving from the artificial depiction of pastoral poetry. They were like, we need to focus on the nature rather than the artificiality that we were focusing in the Augustan age. Then you have man's place in nature. Writers ने humanity को explore किया, relation with nature, inspiring discussion, religion and politics, and sympathy for the oppressed. मतलब the common man, a newfound compassion. Okay, so romantic age में there was a newfound compassion for the struggles of the poor and the marginalized, evident in the works of William Cowper. ये सारे कौन से? इन सारे पोएट्स को बोला जाता है जो कि रोमांटिक पीरियड से पहले आए थे. ये ट्रांजिशनल पीरियड था. ट्रांजिशनल पीरियड, ट्रांजिशनल मतलब क्या होता है? अ चेंज. सो इन दिस ट्रांजिशनल पीरियड all those writers who were William Cowper, Robert Burns, George Crabbe, even the classically inclined Thomas Gray, all these were focusing on the common man. ओके, इन्हीं के बाद आए थे दोज राइटर्स जो हमारे रोमांटिक पोइट्स थे, वो आए थे जिन्होंने सिर्फ और सिर्फ नेचर के बारे में लिखा है एंड किसके बारे में? द रिलेशनशिप दैट द ह्यूमन हैज विद द नेचर. देन मूविंग अहेड, revolt against conventional technique, a reaction against the rigid heroic couplet. They were like, we are not going to adhere to logic, reason, so much of heroic couplet. No, हम लोग क्यों इतनी परवाह करें pentameter की, rhythm की? We are just going to go with the flow. So writers saw strength, simplicity, and sincerity in their literary expressions, renewal of romantic themes, renewed interest in supernatural tales, जो कि रेनेसा करता था, supernatural tales में, legends में, vibrancy पे, वो history of the Middle Ages वो वापस आने लगा. Okay, The Lady of the Last Minstrel, Walter Scott का है, Samuel Taylor Coleridge का Ancient Marina है, La Belle Dame's Mercy का John Keats है, all this started coming up. Then you have the new learning in England, revival of romanticism. We all know that, different kind of works that started, rekindling of interest in older literary forms happened. Key development was research into archives. पुराना जो literature Middle Ages का उस पे ध्यान लगा. Percy Bishop का Relics of the Ancient English Poetry 1765 में ये एक बहुत important work था. Features some of the oldest and most beautiful ballets जो कि romantic prose को बहुत inspire किया था. Then guys, editions of older authors भी आने लगे. Shakespeare editions, Alexander Pope offered inventive interpretations but treated text cavalierly. Samuel Johnson applied common sense and sought, and Lewis Theobald and William Ward produced editions marked by scholarly rigor and critical insight. So now, the previous writers were also coming up, and things started escalating जहाँ पे people were writing older authors also, and उनके critical works आने लगे थे. So this was the period like that. Significance of the new learning, the intellectual revival provided foundation for the burgeoning of romantic movement, and the period saw a fusion of scholarly research with creative renewal. Okay, this was the energy of that time, jahan pe scholarly information, your romantic ability to write good works, your focus towards the ordinary, your focus towards the nature, everything started assimilating, and literature took another drastic change. So guys, growth of historical research, emergence of historical research was also there. There were writers like Edward Gibbon, जिन्हीं ने क्या लिखा था? The decline and fall of the Roman Empire. All these kind of writers emerged. Why? Because they were so much interested in the history of Europe, of England, of Rome, and all the other nations. So the new realism, there were also the suppression of romance and the rise of the novel. So novels emerged as a dominant literary form during that time. Henry Fielding came, Samuel Richardson came. Novel was also something that was growing. Okay, so guys, moving ahead to that. Okay, so we've discussed about this Edmund Burke and all. So guys, अगर हम लोग बात करें during this period, we also saw a huge revival. Before the romantic age that kick-started in 1798, if we look at that, before that, there was a huge impetus of novel writing as well. And novel writing was not popular till the 18th century, till the middle 18th century. मतलब 1740 के बाद से novel ने एक pick-up लिया है. It was after 1740 that writers like Samuel Richardson, Henry Fielding, and then you have Tobias Smollett, Lawrence Sterne, all these writers emerged. So this was something that happened till the 1800s. ये एक rough sketch था, guys. This was a very introductory, a superficial introductory lesson to all my students, giving you an insight into English literature and how we will be going ahead. Whenever, whoever is watching this, I hope that एक sketch आपने बनाया है, एक rough sketch बनाया है, because we will be going into the details of this entire period. We will be learning how to write answers, how to frame answers, which points are necessary, how to inculcate this in your answers, making them rich, much more profound, much more impactful, so that you fetch much more marks compared to your contemporaries. So this is a very, very important one. So I hope everybody, whoever has any questions, you're most welcome to ask me in the comment section. This is how I'll be going ahead with the class. Thank you everyone. In my next lesson, I'll be going ahead with from the age from 1800 to the present, and we will be discussing more such aspects. Thank you everyone. Have a good day.